Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Monday, June 3rd, 2024 by Gaia Blooming. I am Mimi and our energy mantra for today is my mind supports my inner evolution and the outer revolution. And I'd like to actually amend that to awareness of my mind supports my inner evolution and outer revolution. So here we are, another Astro week at hand, and like every week has just been like, I don't know, pushing us, pushing these energies. So this week we have a lot of Gemini energy. We are going to have Mercury moving into Gemini today. We are going to have a new moon in Gemini on Thursday. So that's adding to the already Sun, Venus, Jupiter parade happening in Gemini. That's going to be 5 planets on Gemini on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. So how have you been doing with all this mental energy? Are you surviving it? Are you sleeping? Are you taking time to ground? Are you practicing awareness with your thoughts? Because that's one of the biggest things with this energy is just being so aware of how your thoughts are leading you down the road, right? And where you can consciously make shifts in your thoughts. Now, with Mercury moving into Gemini today, this is our focus. This is a super fast transit. Mercury is only going to be in Gemini for 2 weeks. So we have boom, 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 Mercury helping establish this Jupiter energy that we have for the next year. So Mercury moves in at 12:36 a.m. and makes its first connection with Pluto almost 12 hours later. So that as well is helping shape our mind, hopefully empower our mind, but also show us some of those mental pitfalls. And I think sometimes the mental pitfalls is just getting so stuck in the mind that we forget about everything else. We forget about our physicality, we forget about our heart, we forget about our spirit and soul. We're just like mind. So we want to be really, really, really aware of that with Mercury in Gemini. Seriously, time to ground is going to be important. I think alone time with your thoughts would be really helpful. I think journaling, even though I am a very reluctant journaler, I think it's such a helpful process. Did I say healthful? Healthful and helpful process. Take time to mind dump. Otherwise, you will probably find yourself in the spin cycle. And practicing that awareness, like we established at the beginning of Sun in Gemini, awareness over the stories that your mind is telling and recognizing you have the power to change these stories, even things that have happened. That was a practice that I did a lot when I was doing energy work with somebody is, once fully experiencing, the trauma and everything, going and in and telling a different story is a really interesting thing. The mind-body connection is fascinating because the body believes and responds to what the mind is telling you. And so when you keep telling these tragic stories over and over and over again, sometimes our body can get stuck in those responses. So we want to bring about our awareness to a place where we recognize that we can tell different stories. Now, ideally, it's about moving forward, where we're at now and how we're moving forward, but sometimes we have to go back in and shift those old stories. Now, top of the cards today is politics. Lots of interesting things happening in politics, right? But politics usually is about ourselves. It's a 7, and a 7 card deals with illusion and delusion. And I usually say, hey, take the mask off, your face is glorious. That's a Rumi quote with this card to be your real self. But I also believe in using your illusion, telling different stories. I don't really believe in fake it till you make it because I think all of us are aware when we're fake. But if we can be aware of telling different stories, I think there's a lot of power in this. And so it's like this 7 energy is like, hey, where can you use your illusion? How can you sow better stories within yourself to support higher possibilities? So I love that. Now, we're going to be going into the dark of the moon. And like I said, one of the first connections that Mercury is making is with Pluto. We also have the moon and Pluto squaring today, moon in Taurus. And that moon-Taurus square, it is the Taurus-Aquarius square, which the Taurus is like slow and steady. I'm winning the race. I'm getting there. And Aquarius is like, hello, can we be in the future already? So we may have some of those feels coming up, but Pluto reminds us that sometimes we have to dip in, check in with places where we'll feel like a victim. We have to check in with our shadows, places where we feel small and puny, and it's okay. I don't like when people get so afraid of these things. These things are here for a reason. These things are all part of part of the bottom, part of the platform. We all have the basement. We all have these deeper, dark places to face. So be aware of that in these energies today, that you may have some of that surfacing. Pluto's next step is, okay, so you faced this shadow. How do you come back into power in regards to this thing? And this is, again, where you can potentially tell a different story. What I love is that we have the Innocence card, and this is the Sun card in traditional tarot, and the Sun card is a card of success. What would success look like in this story? How can you infuse success? How can you infuse success into your personal empowerment, whatever is going on? How do you let go of that old energy? It's going to be different for all of us because we're all facing different stories. We're all facing different pieces. But be aware that this energy is going to be up this week, especially as we're in the dark of the moon in Taurus. There may be money stuff, there may be worth stuff that's rising up to be experienced and dealt with. We also have Venus and the Sun in very close connection. They will reach their conjunction tomorrow. And Venus, while it can be like, I feel pretty, like that kind of vibe, Venus can also, feel some of those lows, some of the feeling of worthless. So check your feels around your personal worth. Check your mindset around your personal worth as that energy is coming in. To be fair, this is our Revolution Evolution Day, and this is a day where Uranus kind of hold space over the day. It's like an umbrella over the day. It's like, okay, we got some triggers to look at. We gotta liberate some of these old things. So be aware of that in this energy. The final card, is that the final card? Yeah, it is the final card. The final card that I have is the Celebration card. I love this card. This card has many names. One of them is you should be dancing. And so dancing may be another way to move through some of these energies. It's also I get by with a little help from my friends. And I think with this Gemini energy, to vent with a friend you can touch the shadows with, but then also rise up in solution with, is really powerful. So you should be dancing, but also get by with a little help from your friends. And hard times require furious dancing. And we are very much in hard times, I think, in this planet right now. So dance through it. Express yourself. There's so many ways of expression, and that's also part of Gemini energy, is aligning with the different forms of expression. So that's it for today. You can book a reading with me. Email me, mimiclark@gmail.com. And the better it gets, the better it gets. There's more than enough love in the world for you. You have the power. Always have the power. And remember who you are, for you are the solution. Namaste.